The Matrix is a cult film that remains relevant to this day. That's why we are all looking forward to the release of the fourth part of the franchise. But are you sure you know everything about the very first movie? Were you able to notice all the biblical references? What allusions to transgenderism did the Wachowskis hide in The Matrix? And by what detail can it be determined from the very beginning of the film who is the traitor here? This is the About Movies channel, and before watching the fourth part of The Matrix, we suggest you find out everything that you might not have noticed in the first movie. But before that, we suggest that you choose the red pill and learn the truth. I mean, click on the subscription button and the bell to know more about the movie than other viewers. Subscribe and we'll start. The authors admitted that they were inspired by various cult anime and cyberpunk literature in writing the script. Therefore, literally from the first frames, the film refers us to the main source of inspiration for the Wachowskis, the anime Ghost in the Shell. Immediately after the screensaver, these same green hieroglyphics appear on the screen on a black background. Ghost in the Shell begins almost the same way. Only here, the characters do not run from top to down, but from left to right. Production designer Simon Whiteley admitted in an interview that he used scanned Japanese books about delicious and healthy food to make the legendary Matrix screensaver. That is, all these hieroglyphs running around on the screen are recipes for sushi rolls, only the symbols are mixed and inverted. Then you can see the date of the session on the computer, 2/19/1998, and at the end we see 18/9/1999. If you count, you can understand that the actions of the film take place over the course of 19 months. Note that the policeman's face in this scene is highlighted in green. All scenes that take place in the Matrix world are shown through a greenish filter, and real-world frames are shown through a blue one. In the real world, there is no green color anywhere, except for the numbers on the displays. In this way, the Wachowskis help us distinguish reality from simulation. The hacker Trinity is hiding in room 303. Her name is one of the many biblical references of the film that we have yet to learn. It reminds us of the Trinity, which consists of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. That's why she's in room 303. It is hardly just a coincidence that Trinity is very similar to the main character of Ghost in the Shell, Motoko Kusanagi. All that was borrowed by the Wachowskis from the animated heroine. Short black hair, tight-fitting suit, incredible flexibility, knowledge of martial arts, and ignoring the laws of physics. And then we'll talk about what kind of city the film takes place in. Here on the wall, you can see the advertisement of the company City Holding. And on the badges of the police, there are words City Police.
Welcome to City 17. You have chosen or been chosen.
Further, we even see the sign of the hotel where they try to detain Trinity, heart of the city. And here is the symbolism too. After all, the final battle and the resurrection of Neo will take place in this hotel. Throughout the film, various signs, company names, and books will somehow contain the word City. For example, when Neo and Trinity go to help Morpheus, we will be shown a security guard with the inscription on the chevron, City Security. At the same time, he will read the newspaper, The City Defender. All the events of the film take place in the middle of a concrete jungle. Everywhere there are solid streets and skyscrapers. This is a hyperbolized mega city, which is called Mega City. Let's go back to the beginning. During the chase, Trinity runs past a poster depicting the famous Desert Eagle MR-19 pistol. This is the kind of weapon used by the agents in the film. The canonical shooting scene in the lobby lasts only 3 minutes. However, it was filmed for 10 days, and contrary to the obvious assumption, it was more analog than digital. Smoke, gunfire, and bullet bursts were natural. The flight of the camera around Trinity suspended in the air is one of the most famous shots in the history of cinema. This effect is called bullet time. It was created by special effects supervisor John Gaeta. However, John was not the first to use such a time-stopping effect. 4 years before The Matrix in 1995, the Rolling Stones released a video for the song Like a Rolling Stone, in which you can see the same technique. That music video, along with the anime Akira, inspired Gaeta to create one of the iconic footages of the Matrix fight scenes, but later bullet time entered pop culture as a popular video game mechanic. When Trinity runs away from the agents, we see locations that have already been used in the movie. A year before The Matrix, the events of the fantastic cyberpunk film Dark City took place here. The Matrix inherited the scenery, interiors, nooks and crannies, and of course the roof from the film crew. And now, a little bit about the main character, Neo. For sure, it's no secret that the word Neo is an anagram for the word One, the Chosen One. But the word Neo in Greek means new. So we have a new Chosen One. More precisely, it is another one. After all, as the architect said in The Matrix Reloaded, this version of the Matrix is not the first, as is the one. As we will learn further, Neo's name in The Matrix is Thomas Anderson. Thomas is a variation of the biblical name. The Apostle Thomas did not believe in the resurrection of Jesus to the last and was convinced of that only by plunging his fingers into the nail wounds. Neo, like Thomas, did not believe in the reality of the events, but he was convinced by plunging his fingers into the mirror. But his surname, Anderson, translates as Son of Man or Son Human. And this is also the biblical term that Jesus called himself. Hints that Neo is Jesus are throughout the film and in the next scene. Neo's friend will basically tell us,
"My own personal Jesus Christ."
By the way, in the same scene, Neo complains that when he wakes up, he can't figure out whether it's a dream or reality. This refers to the teachings of René Descartes, who wondered, how can we be sure that our whole life is not a dream? That's exactly what happens with Neo. He wakes up, still sleeping. He is told that this happens after mescaline. This is a reference to the books of Carlos Castaneda, A Separate Reality, and others. In addition, a friend tells Neo that he needs to unwind and uses the word unplugged, which literally means pull the plug out of the socket, and that's exactly what will happen to the main character when he finally wakes up. His plug will be disconnected from the Matrix. Also in the scene, we see a direct reference to Lewis Carroll's story Alice in Wonderland. It was the pursuit of the white rabbit that took Alice into the magical world of dreams. But if Carroll's heroine gets from reality into a dream, then the Matrix mirrors these events and the path after the white rabbit. On the contrary, takes Neo into reality.
Welcome to the real world.
Mirrors and reflections are another leitmotif of the film, which refers us to the continuation of Alice's adventures. Alice through the looking glass. Through the mirror, Neo gets into reality for the first time, and the characters are often reflected in glasses, a door handle, car mirrors, and the very spoon that does not exist. And even composer Don Davis used the theme of mirrors when writing the soundtrack to The Matrix, mirroring the sound in some places. That is why Neo's apartment number 101 is also mirrored. There are as many as 3 references. First of all, 101 is a piece of binary code, which reminds us that Neo is a hacker. Secondly, 101 is a visualization of his name. After all, as you remember, Neo is an anagram of one. Well, and thirdly, it is also a reference to George Orwell's novel 1984, where Room 101 was the most sinister place from which no one returned the same, if returned at all. It is logical that the Matrix decided to hide Neo in a place with a similar number. Before moving on, we suggest you write in the comments about what reference described in this video you learned for the first time. Or maybe you know even more and we missed something. Then it'll be cool if you write what exactly. We read everything and like the most interesting ones. Neo hides the floppy disk in a book called Simulacra and Simulation. This is the book of French sociologist Jean Baudrillard, in which he discusses the blurred lines between reality and simulation. He also talks about how humanity has replaced the real world with symbols and signs. Moreover, Neo's hiding place is right in the chapter of nihilism. It describes a person's desire to rebel against society and points out the senselessness of this rebellion, since any movement itself becomes part of society. Next, Neo meets Trinity, and in this dialogue, you can hear a transgender reference.
I just thought, you were a guy.
It is curious that the sadomasochistic club shown in the film is a real club in Sydney, the Hellfire. Moreover, the extras for the scene were recruited from the regulars of the club, who were asked to come to the shooting all dressed up. Neo works as a programmer at Metacortex Corporation. Its name consists of two words, meta, that means outside, beyond, and cortex, that means the cerebral cortex. It turns out that metacortex means beyond the human brain, which speaks about the main plot of this film. It goes beyond what the brain connected to the Matrix shows. In the scene where his boss scolds Neo, he looks at the water flowing down the glass, which is very similar to the digital rain of the Matrix. When Neo is caught and taken away for interrogation, he is shown on all the monitors of the surveillance system at once. We will see the same monitors in the sequel, At the Architect, and this is definitely another reference to George Orwell, his big brother. In Mr. Anderson's file, which is a green folder, you can find out that he went to the Owen Patterson School. That's the name of the Matrix production designer. And Neo's mother's name is Michelle McGahee. That's the name of the film's art director. But the most mysterious detail of the scene is Neo's passport. Its expiry date is September 11th, 2001. It is on the very fateful day for the United States when the Twin Towers were destroyed. Considering the film was released in 1999, this is some kind of very creepy coincidence. After setting the tracker, Neo meets Trinity and Switch under the bridge, and here we want to talk more about transgender references. Fans have long assumed that the discomfort experienced by the protagonist in a collision with reality is a metaphorical description of gender dysphoria, when perception becomes fragmented. The red pill that helps him see the truth was compared to taking estrogens. In a recent interview, Lily Wachowski confirmed that these versions are close to the original idea of the creators of The Matrix. She said that Switch was originally written as a gender-fluid character who, getting into the Matrix, would become a man. That would allow viewers to experience the concept of internal self-determination and appearance. But in 1999, society was much less tolerant of gender identification and the studio did not take any risks. It was decided to abandon that idea. Nevertheless, the character got a very telling name and appearance. When the car stops, we can notice the name of the street, Wabash. And this is one of the many respectful references to Wachowski's hometown, Chicago. We are presented with another character named APOC, which is short for the word apocalypse. This is another reference to the Bible. From the Animatrix, we learned that APOC created a computer virus called Four Horsemen by the analogy with the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Then Neo finally meets Morpheus, whose name, of course, reminds us of the ancient Greek god of dreams. Its emblem is a double gate, one part of which leads to the world of false dreams and the other to the world of true dreams. We see a metaphorical image of these doors in the scene when Morpheus offers Neo a choice of two pills, blue and red. By the way, the red pill in exactly the same context has already been used in cinema, 9 years before The Matrix in a fantastic action movie by Paul Verhoeven, Total Recall. Arnold Schwarzenegger's character was offered a red pill so that he could return to reality.
Swallow this.
What is it?
It's a symbol of your desire to return to reality.
Then we hear that Morpheus quotes Alice in Wonderland and explains the concept of the Matrix. The very idea of the Matrix as cyberspace is directly borrowed from the novel Neuromancer by writer William Gibson. In Neuromancer, cyberspace is repeatedly called a matrix, although in the novel, this is a slang term. Gibson himself was inspired by the works of another writer, Philip K. Dick, the author of the novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Blade Runner was filmed based on that novel. At one conference, Dick even basically stated that we all live in virtual reality. In the next scene, we meet another member of the team, Cypher. His name is Lewis, which, along with the call sign Cypher, strongly hints that he is a villain. After all, Lewis Cypher sounds like Lucifer. By the way, pay attention to another interesting detail. The most recognizable attribute of the appearance of the heroes of the Matrix are cool sunglasses. Those glasses were provided by Blondie Label, which was practically unknown at the time of the film's creation. The reference to Blondie Label can be seen on the microwave in Neo's room. all the positive characters in the film wear round glasses, and the villains prefer rectangular ones. Cypher's glasses are round, but with 4 sharp corners, which shows his duplicitous nature. Cypher calls Neo Dorothy and offers to tell Kansas bye-bye.
It means buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy, because Kansas is going bye-bye.
Of course, this is a reference to Frank Baum's cult novel, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. There, Dorothy got from the familiar and cozy Kansas to a magical land. Before leaving the Matrix, Neo looks at himself in a broken mirror. According to superstition, a broken mirror is like a black cat that Neo sees next, a symbol of failure. If the cat really brings problems to the heroes, then the mirror, on the contrary, will become Neo's way out of sleep and therefore symbolically recover. Morpheus asks if Neo has a dream indistinguishable from reality, and if he couldn't wake up, how could he distinguish between reality and dream? This is another reference to Descartes. The scene with Neo's awakening in reality is another visual reference to the Ghost in the Shell. In a similar way, Motoko rises from the water. In addition, the heroine of the game, Ghost in the Shell, also has connectors around her neck, which she uses to connect to information sources. Neo's awakening also remembers a real birth. It comes out of the womb together with the amniotic fluid, and the robot obstetrician separates the umbilical cord from him. Keanu Reeves lost 7 kilograms and shaved off all his body hair to look more like a newborn. When we created that video, we realized the timing would not be enough to tell about all the numerous references. That's why we decided to divide it into 2 parts. If you want to see the continuation, like this video. We'll understand that we are not working in vain. When we get 100 likes under the video, we will immediately release the second part, okay? While you're waiting for the second part, we suggest you click on this icon and watch a detailed biography of Keanu Reeves. Believe us, there are a lot of facts that only 5% of all Keanu fans know. Follow the link and watch. That's all for today. It was about movies. See you in the new video. Bye.